This is a high-risk mission. You'll be facing some powerful opposition, but it's nothing you can't handle. Believe in yourself.
So you've been doing nuclear research your whole life?
No, not really. At first I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. For me, the Sputnik launch was a good shock, not a bad one. I thought the age when science was used for war was over, and that a glorious age of space exploration was dawning. The year I skipped ahead and got into MIT, Gagarin went into orbit, which made me more excited than ever. Of course, even back then, I knew the space race was just another facet of the Cold War.
Moscow had a leg up on us, and we were desperate to catch up.
I know. But for me, it was a happy time. I joined NASA, got to do the kind of research I loved. Our nation's prestige hinged on our work. They gave us whatever resources we asked for. I knew you could turn a rocket into an ICBM by fitting it with a nuclear warhead, but that didn't bother me so much. It didn't last long, though. The space and nuclear arms races took up enormous sums of money. America beat Russia to the moon, but that's where it ended.
Then came détente.
Exactly. NASA's budget was slashed as a result. My father being a nuclear expert and all, they put me to work on a more obvious deterrent: missiles. At NASA, I'd been researching a locomotion system for lunar exploration. Tires aren't suited to driving around on the moon, you know. And that's how I caught Coldman's eye. But you know, there's something I've never been able to figure out. Is the Cold War really a war, or is it really peace?
Doc, what do you...
People called it a Cold War, but I disagreed. Sure, nuclear stockpiles are increasing, threats are multiplying. The US and the Soviet Union have enough power to destroy the human race 100 times over. But nobody's actually being killed. Small-scale conflicts and proxy wars, maybe, but nuclear deterrence has averted another world war. The world's far more peaceful today than it was before, and the breakthroughs we've made in space exploration thanks to Cold War competition? Fantastic, don't you think?
No. We didn't need to rush into space like that. Going into space may have been mankind's dream, but good people were sacrificed in the scramble.
Maybe so. NASA's definitely got some skeletons in its closet.
Same goes for the nuclear arms race. Atomic testing has killed civilians and exposed thousands to radiation.
Believe me, I know. And now, this. What peace was I trying to protect anyway? The more I think about it, the less I understand. Let's speak in hypotheticals for a minute. Say you wanted to make a clone of yourself.
A clone? Paramedic had the same idea. It's science fiction.
I'm just hypothesizing here. Okay, not a clone then. You have any kids?
Nope.
Wife?
I've never been tied down.
Okay then. So, we're still talking hypotheticals. Say you had a son who'd inherited your genes. Someone with the same combat abilities as you. Would you challenge him to a fight?
Not to sound cocky, but I wouldn't want to do that. No telling who'd survive.
I'll bet. You picked up on the Pupa 5000's combat patterns in seconds.
Only with your advice, Doc.
Well, if anybody could learn to do it just by listening, it'd be easy. But you're a born soldier. Yeah, you must have been born with genes geared for combat. Soldier genes, if you will.
Genes geared for combat? I don't care how advanced their research is. You can't blame genes for everything.
Blame genes? You think it's funny?
What?
You think genes have nothing to do with this body I was born with?
I don't know.
Look, that fear of facing someone of equal ability in combat, imagine that on a strategic scale. That's the concept of nuclear deterrence. The idea is, when all sides are armed with the destructive power of nuclear weapons, they'll avoid nuclear war in order to prevent mutual annihilation.
Doesn't sound all that sophisticated to me.
Exactly. It's so simple in principle. But because it's so simple, whether or not it works properly depends on the people involved. In that sense, what we're looking at now is a malfunction in deterrence theory.
Coldman.
You got it. Please, Snake, don't let deterrence die. Nuclear deterrence means preventing the use of nuclear weapons in conflicts between states. But what about other situations?
Like what?
Terrorism has been on the rise in recent years, from separatist movements to far-left extremists. What would happen if nuclear weapons fell into terrorists' hands? Without a state, that is, without territory of their own, the chances of having nukes used against them are slim. They have no reason to fear a nuclear strike. Conversely, they have no reason to hesitate to use nukes against their adversaries.
You've got a point. All the ICBMs and strategic bombers in the world amount to nothing against a terrorist group.
Right. Of course, this is all still hypothetical. Countries keep their nukes under tight watch. There's no immediate danger of terrorists getting their hands on them. But the day may come when the proposition of nuclear terrorism makes nuclear deterrence theory a dead letter.
Nuclear terrorism. Interesting.
What are we gonna do, Snake? If Peace Walker attacks Mother Base...
Relax. We've got the entire MSF out to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Peace Walker's missiles have 1 megaton warheads. The fireball alone would be a mile in diameter. Everything in the vicinity of Ground Zero will be vaporized by the heat rays. Then there's the blast, which travels at hundreds of miles per hour. And the fires, and the...
A huge dose of radiation from the initial nuclear reaction.
That too. There won't be a single survivor.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Look, Doc, you made that thing. You know better than anybody what it's capable of. Right now, you've got to give me a rational, scientific estimate of the damage. If we're talking about a nuclear explosion, it's more than just MSF's problem.
You're right, Snake. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, Mother Base would be wiped out. Any ships in the area could be caught in the blast too. We'd need to send out a warning. The thing to worry about most is the fallout.
The dust of death.
If it goes off over water, the particles will be smaller than with an explosion over land, so the wind will scatter the fallout over a wider area. Clouds will form around the salt crystals in the seawater, causing contaminated rain to fall downwind.
Yeah, got a taste of that myself.
On Bikini Atoll? That's right. The 1954 Castle Bravo test created fallout 300 miles downwind. Poisoned a lot of local residents and ships, so I hear. The yield of Peace Walker's warheads isn't that big, but the amount of fallout will largely depend on weather conditions. It's impossible to make a quick and easy estimate.
If it gets into the trade winds, it could come straight to Costa Rica.
What was it Coldman was saying? About leaving people free to help out? He's out of his mind. What does he think's gonna happen? When they get hit by rain containing high concentrations of fallout, a lot of them will die from the external exposure alone. The rain will seep into the ground, contaminating the water supply and crops. When they ingest the stuff, the internal exposure starts. Strontium-90 and cesium-137 have half-lives of around 30 years. The effects stay with you your entire life. Leukemia, cataracts, dermatitis, cancer. And it affects reproduction, too.
I know.
Even today, 30 years after World War II, thousands of people still suffer from exposure to the bomb. We can't let Coldman create more of them just to prove his point. I know it sounds crazy, but I created Peace Walker so that kind of thing would never happen again.
Don't worry, Doc. We'll stop it. One way or another. I gotta say, I'm surprised you helped us arm Metal Gear with nukes.
What of it?
Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful and all, but you sure about this? They may be for MSF self-defense, but they're still nukes. It's essentially the same thing as Peace Walker, which you despised.
See, that's exactly it.
What is?
You don't hide your motives. You tell the truth. That's what makes you different from those CIA bastards. They lay on the charm, win you over. And then, when things get hairy, they turn their backs on you.
I'm just telling it like it is.
Which is why I get the feeling that you wouldn't be stupid enough to use them. Okay, I'll come out and say it. I trust you.
You give me too much credit.
You think so? Besides, there's more uses for bipedal locomotion technology than weapons. We make it small enough, and it could have applications in robotics and prosthetic limbs. Maybe one day I'll even be able to walk.
Nice thought.
I want to stand on my own feet, be master of my own fate, and I'll use your strength to help me do it. If you don't mind, of course.
Nah, it's a fair enough deal.
Thanks. People can change, I know. But I trust you, Snake. I trust you to be the guy I know now. The aim of the Peace Walker project is to achieve robust nuclear deterrence across Central America by deploying a new nuclear weapon system along the Caribbean coast. Peace Walker is also the name of the system itself.
A nuclear weapon named Peace. I can just see the look on Kaz's face. So why exactly does this new system need legs in the first place?
Because it's a walker. An unmanned weapon moving under its own power and capable of launching a deterrent strike from anywhere. That's the whole idea behind Peace Walker. The reason Peace Walker is a mobile nuclear weapon system is to maximize its potential as a nuclear deterrent.
How so?
If need be, Peace Walker can stay constantly on the move so that the adversary can't pinpoint its position. That allows it to avoid preemptive enemy strikes.
So you're saying it keeps the retaliation card in play?
Coldman likes to brag about it in this way.
Like a land-based version of an SSBN.
And there's another reason for them to be mobile. Peace Walker also has a self-destruct function.
Why would Peace Walker need a self-destruct function?
You saw it, didn't you, Snake? That sphere on Peace Walker's head?
Yeah?
That's a hydrogen bomb.
What? You're telling me that thing's a thermonuclear device? Do they have any idea what kind of destruction that thing would cause?
I know, it's crazy. I mean, even overkill has its limits. If it's strategic value they want, they could have gone with something smaller. It's like they want a weapon on par with Russia's Tsar Bomba.
This arms race is running way out of control.
It's an evolutionary dead end. A saber-toothed tiger. You can't load a warhead that big on a missile, of course. And no strategic bomber could carry it. That's where Peace Walker comes in.
So, it waltzes into enemy territory carrying a hydrogen bomb and blows itself up. Christ.
The biggest nuclear warhead ever actually detonated was the Soviet RDS-220, nicknamed Tsar Bomba. It had an estimated yield of 57 megatons, 10 times as much power as all the explosives used throughout World War II. The test took place on October 30, 1961, above Novaya Zemlya. The explosion is believed to have created a fireball over 2 miles in diameter. Can you believe that? Like a miniature sun. The explosion was seen as far off as Finland, 600 miles away, and some people even reported windows shattering. The shockwave traveled 3 times around the Earth.
3 times?
Peace Walker is armed with a massive hydrogen bomb, even more destructive than Tsar Bomba. It can sneak into enemy territory, lie low, and in the event of an enemy nuclear strike, detonate itself in retaliation. And the locomotion system that lets it do that? My research. Snake, those legs were supposed to make my dream come true. Now they're about to jump the fence of nuclear deterrence. You have to stop them. I'll apply all my energy into developing weapons and equipment to help you do it.
Sounds like a deal. What made you put an AI into Peace Walker?
Well, for one thing, because it can't be manned. Peace Walker's designed to enter enemy territory and blow itself up, if necessary. You can't put a person inside a weapon that could blow at any time, can you? So we equipped it with an AI instead.
That's strangely humane of you.
And besides, Peace Walker was designed as a bipedal weapon system. You can't imagine how hard it shakes when it walks. It'd turn a man into mush. Plus, when launching a nuclear missile, it has to perform ballistic calculations in real time. See? Because it's always moving.
Hold on. If that's all it does, then a high-performance computer ought to do the job. It doesn't need intelligence.
That's a very good point, Snake. Which brings me to the real reason. Peace Walker needs AI to make decisions regarding nuclear retaliation. It's what ensures perfectly mutual assured destruction.
I've heard all this before. You want a war between machines?
We'd never actually launched the first nuke, of course. It's strictly a counterattack system. Only a politician could make such an illogical decision as starting a nuclear war. Conversely, if an adversary launches a nuke at us, the AI will not fail to retaliate. Therefore, the adversary can't launch. The AI guarantees it.
Even so, launching nukes without authorization?
Boomer captains have the authority to launch if land communications are cut off. It's the same principle.
Not even the captain of a boomer can make that decision alone. The way I heard it, that's the only situation where insubordination is allowed.
Only because humans are imperfect. That's Coldman's line of thinking.
You're saying that machines don't make mistakes? That's a myth. Worse than that, it's blind faith.
We wouldn't put our fate, into the hands of any ordinary machine. That's what the AI is for. The decision to launch a retaliatory strike requires high-level judgment. You have to take into account not only the state of the war, but the entire world. And sometimes, you need to make a guess based on incomplete information.
Huh. You think an AI can do all that?
Yeah. At least Dr. Strangelove does. Peace Walker is fitted with several close-range weapons. We'd also planned for it to be able to enter enemy territory and self-detonate.
Wonderful. What exactly are we dealing with here?
Well, the flamethrowers for one thing. One in the front and one in the rear. Then there are the S-mines. They're like cluster bombs. It scatters them from its leg hatches. If you see those open, you better clear out quickly. And finally, the rockets. These can travel quite a distance, so stay sharp. On the other hand, it can't fire them from too close. But then again, there are those flamethrowers. It can also use its legs as weapons against any infantry on the ground.
Ouch.
But remember, Peace Walker technically isn't complete. With just the reptile pod, it can only perform relatively simple maneuvers. They've got certain quirks, too. What's more, look carefully and you should be able to predict which attack is coming next. Snake, you have to stop Peace Walker from launching that nuke.
Calm down. What do I need to do?
To tell you the truth, I don't really know. The mammal pod has probably enhanced both its thought patterns and mobility. The S-mines, rockets, flamethrowers, they're all the same, but I don't know what else to say. You'll just have to stay sharp and watch for how it behaves before each of the attacks.
I'll give it a shot. There's no time for anything else.
Sorry I can't be more helpful. You can do it, Snake.
Okay, but why does Peace Walker need to walk on two legs? I think treads would be good enough.
You'd be wrong. As you know, the terrain in Central America is rugged and complex. especially along the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. You've got jungles, swamps, mountains, and the only way to get across all that terrain, no matter how rugged, is on legs.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be tough to cross a swamp, even on legs?
It wasn't easy, that's for sure. The reason we picked Costa Rica as a proving ground is because we can test it on every type of terrain.
This Peace Walker project the CIA's talking about. You believed in it, huh?
Yeah, I believed. Actually, maybe I just wanted to believe.
What do you mean?
Here's how Coldman explained it. Peace Walker's a weapon for peace. One to ensure true nuclear deterrence. It'd be the anchor to bring stability to Central America. He told me, the nuclear weapon system you've built will never be used. It will forever stand vigil as an icon of peace. And to achieve that, he needed my bipedal locomotion technology. To be honest, I was flattered.
Flattered?
Wouldn't you be? My colleagues in the scientific community have never taken me seriously. They told me bipedal locomotion was a pipe dream, that it'd never amount to anything. It was the first time anybody recognized my work. How could I not be happy? And besides, it was my chance to surpass my father. To create nukes for peace. Or so I thought anyway.
But Coldman's really going through with it.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense, really. No one would give the project any notice unless they could prove that an unmanned system is capable of launching a nuke.
Why is Coldman going to launch a nuke? If all he wants to do is prove the AI retaliation system works, he doesn't need to put a live warhead on it.
I agree. He could demonstrate the system by launching the missile alone, without a warhead. I asked him the same thing at first. He said there was no point in using a dummy missile. That it'd take an actual nuclear launch to deter potential enemies. Launching the real deal gives him a leg up in negotiations with Langley. That's what he's really after. I based the bipedal locomotion technology used in Peace Walker on Soviet research. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I stole most of the basic ideas behind it.
Soviet? Bipedal? You mean Granin?
You know him?
Yeah. I met him at his lab in Russia. He helped me out a little bit.
You met him? What were you...
He was head of the Granin Design Bureau, creator of countless Soviet weapons.
I'd hit a wall in my research at the time. Granin's ideas solved nearly all my problems.
There's nothing unusual about using somebody else's work to further your own research, is there?
As long as you cite it, yeah. But I wasn't in a position to do that. His research was classified at the highest level. Soviet research, no less.
So, you used it without telling anybody?
I wanted to show up my colleagues for once. The ones who never took me seriously. But you reap what you sow. Coldman seized on that vulnerability. Told me if I quit the project, he'd expose my larceny.
He had you by the balls, Doc. How'd you get your hands on Granin's research?
That was also Coldman. He used his agency contacts to get a hold of it.
Giving you stolen information, then using it to blackmail you. Damn.
I knew it was Granin's work the minute I saw it. See, I'd been corresponding with him for a while.
Corresponding?
Letters. Between scientists doing the same kind of research. He always complained that nobody understood his ideas on bipedal locomotion.
Ah, so you're the American friend he was talking about.
Obviously, he didn't write a word about the technology in his letters. Except for one time. If by chance anything should happen to me, I entrust my research to you. Better that than handing it over to these ignorant so-called scientists.
Sounds like him, all right.
Then one day, his papers actually came. It wasn't hard for me to imagine what had happened to him. I felt it was my duty to carry on his work after him. And also,
What?
I thought maybe combining his technology with mine could be a way to bring East and West together, like the docking of Apollo and Soyuz.
It'll never make the history books, and it's still not a reason to plagiarize.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I never had the courage to tell the truth, that's all. I always looked for excuses to cover it up.
Until now.
Huh?
You told me everything. You're no longer a coward.
Metal Gear.
Huh? What about it?
You mumbled that when I first explained about Peace Walker. I'm curious what it meant.
Exactly what it says. Metal Gear. Granin coined the term.
Granin did?
He thought of his technology as the metal gear that meshes infantry with artillery.
I like the sound of that. Metal Gear. It's got a nice ring to it. Better than an outright lie like Peace Walker, anyway.
Those papers the CIA gave you, was there any data on the Shagohod in there?
Shagohod?
A nuclear tank that launches IRBMs. It competed against Granin's system for approval.
Oh, the thing with the rockets. Designed by a guy named Sokolov, right?
What's so funny?
No, I was just remembering some of the commentary Granin added to the Shagohod papers. You should have seen the way he badmouthed it. It was too conservative, too ugly.
I can imagine.
He was so angry when he wrote that, he smeared up the ink. And you know how shoddy the paper is over there to begin with.
I'll bet. That's Granin, all right.
Imagine accelerating the launcher itself to 300 miles an hour to extend the range of an IRBM. As stupid as it sounds, it's a hell of a concept. Who but the Soviets would think of using a tank as the first stage of a rocket? I actually took a cue from the Shagohod when I developed the Pupa.
That hovercraft thing? You stole that one, too?
Give me a little credit. I only borrowed the concept. The technology is original. As it turned out, hover technology wasn't enough to handle all the terrain in Central America. It relied too much on brute force.
But the Shagohod was a major threat. That thing could corner like you wouldn't believe. Built pretty tough, too.
You sure know a lot about it.
It almost did me in. I couldn't forget it if I tried.
Did you in? So you were the one who took it down. Wow! You really are amazing.
I didn't do it alone.
No, seriously, thank you. We might not be here today if they'd begun mass-producing that thing. Then again, they're hard at work now miniaturizing nuclear warheads. Pretty soon they won't even need an accelerated launcher like the Shagohod.
Great. That means they're that much closer to being able to launch from anywhere in the world. Chico called Peace Walker the Basilisco.
Basilisco? Oh, right, Spanish. That's funny. I once used the codename Basilisk for the Peace Walker platform myself.
What for?
The class of lizards called basilisks can walk atop any type of terrain. In a pinch, they can even stand up on two legs and run across water. Perfect name for a system that can walk anywhere in Central America, right? Plus, there are the legends.
What legends?
The basilisks of legend were highly venomous creatures. There's a story told by the ancient Romans. A knight slew a basilisk by piercing it with his spear. The creature's poison seeped up the spear and killed both horse and rider. Remind you of anything, Snake?
Nuclear deterrence.
Bingo. Kill it, and you die along with it. Your hands are bound. I wanted Peace Walker to be like that.
You should know that people aren't that rational. Sometimes people do things that don't make sense, even when they know they're going to die. Or maybe it's because of that.
Maybe you're right. But that's exactly what I don't understand. Peace Walker contains an assembly of 2 AI pods. One of them is the mammal pod, which Dr. Strangelove developed. The other's the reptile pod, which is mine.
What's the difference?
The reptile pod is the attitude control AI. If it's destroyed, Peace Walker grinds to a halt. The mammal pod is responsible for making the decisions regarding nuclear retaliation, reflex, and thought. One is the brainstem and cerebellum, the other the cerebrum.
So, the one that houses the will of the boss
would be the mammal pod. The part of our brain that developed after we became mammals is responsible for high-level brain functions.
Such as?
Such as intelligence, judgment, even love.
That's high level, all right.
Location-wise, the mammal brain is on the outside of the reptile brain. The cerebral cortex is part of it. I think it's very telling that Dr. Strangelove named her pod Mammal. It's almost like she wants it to be more than just an advanced AI. What she really wants is for it to have a mind of its own. We call it the reptile pod for a reason. The parts of our brains that govern basic life and reflex developed ages ago, when our ancestors were still reptiles.
We were reptiles?
Well, only at one stage of our evolution. The theory was proposed by the neuroscientist Paul MacLean.
Huh.
The reptile brain corresponds to the brainstem and basal ganglia in our brain. The reptile pod also incorporates the functions of the cerebellum.
So basically, it's the deep parts of the brain.
Dr. Strangelove came up with the name. Snake, how much do you know about the U.S. Homeland Air Defense Network?
I don't know much about what goes on up in the sky. What I do know is that NORAD tracks Santa Claus on its radar.
Nice one. I didn't know you were a comedian, too.
Huh? No, I'm serious. It's true, NORAD tracks his... Listen to me. Every December they set up a hotline and...
Okay, I get it.
He's real, I tell you. He used to bring me presents and...
Okay, Snakey. As all good little boys know, keeping tabs on Santa Claus is a very important job for NORAD. But they also have another mission, the one they were created for. And the system they set up for that has been hijacked by Coldman.
You mean Peace Walker's fake data transmissions?
NORAD's early warning system is composed of DSP satellite-mounted infrared sensors and an array of surveillance radar stations across North America. The network sends out warnings to NORAD at Cheyenne Mountain, where the data undergoes human evaluation. Peace Walker, on the other hand, has to make its retaliation decisions autonomously. So it's set up to automatically receive the same data as NORAD through covert channels. Those channels were also used on the test platform to telemeter the AI's decision-making. Peace Walker reversed the system to transmit a fake warning about incoming nuclear missiles outside the usual exercise schedule. I mean, the system could have used better safeguarding. Nobody's going to argue with that. But cracking the AI? That seemed unimaginable. And you can see what happened.
Hey, Doc, what was that you were smoking in the lab? It looked like a cigarette, but it wasn't lit.
Oh, it's an electronic cigarette. I designed it myself. Pretty neat, huh?
Electronic cigarette.
Yep, a liquid in the filter that turns into vapor, and you inhale the microparticles.
So that was vapor.
I'd actually rather be smoking normal cigarettes, but not in that room. The smoke would wreck the precision equipment in there, ruin all its wiring. But the vapor is just steam. It doesn't contain tar or anything like that. So I can smoke it in the lab with no worries.
Nice.
Want to try one?
Nah, I'll stick with cigars.
Yeah, but...
I don't like imitations. The real thing's always better.
Okay. But you know, sooner or later, smoking's going to become very unfashionable across the world. It hurts you and those around you. Electronic cigarettes might not seem so bad then.
Yeah, when that happens, I'll think about it. You said your dad was involved in the Manhattan Project, right?
Yeah?
And you think that's why you can't walk?
I don't know. Actually, you know, probably not. So far, nobody's found evidence that exposure to radiation in parents causes genetic defects in children, except for those exposed in the womb. Epidemiologically speaking, anyway.
That's the conclusion of the Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission.
Right. The ABCC commenced its study immediately after the war, and it's still ongoing.
Even now, 30 years later.
The effects of radiation exposure last a long time. I'm guessing it'll be another 10 years before we get a real verdict on whether it affects genes. Granted, it's the most massive study anybody's ever done. But that's really all it is, a study. The ABCC brought in bomb victims and ran tests on them, but they didn't treat them.
Really? Them too, huh?
At any rate, that's what my father made me believe when I was growing up.
Maybe it was tough for your dad to explain. Ever think of that?
Yeah, maybe. But this is my problem now, Snake. I have to face the nukes head on, whether I like it or not. My creations are being used for the wrong purposes. The onus is on me to stop it somehow. Help me, Snake. Hey, as long as I'm here at Mother Base, why not assign me to the R&D team? You could use a guy like me.
Glad to have you on board. I'm sure Kaz is, too.
Once I've got the necessary materials and design specs together, I should be able to start building you that bipedal weapon platform. Nothing would make me happier than for my research to help put a stop to Peace Walker.
So this Dr. Strangelove was at NASA?
Yeah. Well, actually, Strangelove left for DARPA not long after I joined.
And then the two of you ended up back together doing research in Costa Rica.
Not exactly together. We coordinated on a few things, but the research projects themselves were separate from each other. We had it worked out so that Dr. Strangelove handled the mammal pod, Peace Walker's cerebrum, while I did the rest.
That letter, something to do with your research?
Huh? No, it's yeah, it's a report. Research findings.
Research findings? Anything in there we could use against Peace Walker?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Just don't read it, okay? Promise me you won't? Did you, give that letter to Dr. Strangelove?
No.
Why not? I gave it to you for a reason. It's highly important information.
Sorry. I didn't exactly have an opportunity to play postman.
Well, next time you see her, you make sure she gets it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Better for you if she doesn't.
Snake!
What?
Tell me you didn't read the letter.
No.
You did!
I mean, you never know what kind of information could affect the outcome of an operation, right? So
you read the letter, after I specifically told you not to.
What do you expect people to do when you tell them not to read something?
I thought I knew you, Snake. I thought I could trust you. But now I see I was wrong.
Look, I'm sorry, but I just don't get what you see in her.
Well, I wouldn't expect a barbarian who opens other people's private correspondence to understand.
Fine then. Deliver it yourself.
Huh? What? No way. I could never...
You've got a long way to go, Huey.
You ever see the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Can't say I have.
Fantastic flick. The outer space special effects are incredible enough, but the depiction of AI is what really stands out.
There's an AI?
Yeah, a spacecraft pilot AI called Hal. It plays a major role in the story. Dr. Strangelove loves it too. Did I ever tell you about the time we first met up in Costa Rica?
No.
You know how she hates men, right? So we hadn't seen each other since NASA, and we just weren't hitting it off. Until we started talking about Hal, and then she started going off. The way she talked about it was so intellectual. The way she analyzed every plot detail, how passionate she was about the AI. It made me fall for her all over again.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's to Hal for bringing her and me closer together. You should ask her about 2001 too. Then you'll understand just how amazing she is.
Amazing, huh?
Hal. Now there's a good name. The pupa increases its mobility by using compressed air to hover its rear section. It moves by means of its treads and boosters. Those boosters also provide the propulsion needed for high-speed movement.
So if I take out the boosters, it won't be able to charge.
Right. I suppose you could also avoid its attacks by lying down beneath it. The pupa is also equipped with electrical shock units. It uses these devices, they look like lightning rods, to direct discharge.
Guess I should pull the plug on those too.
Good idea. What else? Well, as with all AI machines, you can incapacitate the entire unit by taking out the AI itself. If you can get the hatch open and climb inside, you can pull out the memory boards. Lights out AI. We may be able to use those boards for ourselves. If you can, try and get inside the AI pod and have a crack at it. You won't be able to do that until you've damaged it enough to stop it from moving first.
Got it. Usual tactics first, then.
Being an unmanned vehicle, the Chrysalis can perform extreme G-force maneuvers that standard aircraft can't. It'll be difficult to counterattack once it's coming at you. I should mention that it's also equipped with a railgun.
A what?
A weapon that fires rounds using electromagnetic force in lieu of gunpowder.
Wait, an electric weapon?
Not exactly. The rounds themselves are conventional shells. It creates force by running an electric current through a magnetic field. Fleming's left-hand rule. Didn't they teach you that at school?
Not at mine.
Oh. Anyway, as the railgun uses electromagnetic force, it needs to charge before firing. Once you see it starting to charge, take immediate evasive action. Also, as with the pupa, destroying the AI will put the unit out of commission. Do enough damage and it'll have to land. Use that opportunity to get in the AI pod. Wait too long and it'll start to repair itself. Be sure to shoot the hatch the moment it lands.
I think I can handle that.
During development, I had trouble figuring out how to handle the cocoon's excess heat. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but the radiators are most likely its weakest points. They're not heavily armored, as heat wasn't dissipating properly.
Where are they?
There are multiple radiators on the upper and lower sections. Just look for the exhaust fumes. The only thing is, the upper radiators typically aren't exposed. You should probably shoot for the lower ones first. You could move under its body to access the lower ones, but the cocoon is capable of vertical movement, so be careful not to get crushed. Watch out for missiles and hedgehogs, too.
Hedgehogs? Anti-submarine multiple spigot mortars?
I adapted the technology for use as a surface weapon. Both the missiles and hedgehogs take time to load, though. It can't fire a hedgehog until the lamp comes on. As for the missiles, watch for the way the hatches move.
That'll be my chance to get close.
When the hatches open, out come the missiles.
That was some escape you made from Strangelove's lab.
Security inside was not so tight. The door to my room was locked from the outside, of course, but she took off the blindfold at bath time, so she could wash my hair.
Pretty luxurious treatment for a prisoner.
Wasn't it? She wouldn't undo the handcuffs, but she washed my body for me instead, and with such gentle care.
Why'd you run away? Didn't she say you could go home in a month? If your escape attempt failed, you'd be in greater danger than before.
I was supposed to be giving a presentation on the distribution of Costa Rican bird species at a conference. The date was approaching quickly. So, I pretended I had to use the toilet and made my escape. I found an ID card and searched everywhere for my equipment and my tape. But a soldier saw me. It was a miracle I managed to get away. There was no time to find the tape. I do not care about the conference. I am lucky enough to still be in one piece.
You bounce back quick.
You don't?
Not sure. I try not to dwell too much on the past, but...
Then don't. There is no point. I'm so glad to be out of there. I never felt safe, you know?
Tell me about it.
Well, I think she's interested in women. And I think she took a fancy to me.
Oh, well, that's,
Besides, it is much nicer here.
Was it just the two women in the lab?
Most of the time, oui.
And one of them, you only heard her voice, right?
Yes, that is correct. Such a wonderful voice. It sent chills up my spine.
What was the other woman like?
Don't even think about it. She has not the slightest interest in men.
No, it's part of my mission to...
Only teasing. Let me think. I believe she was in her 30s. Pretty, with a good sense of style, but austere in her tastes. A very unusual woman.
And she was doing research on AI?
AI? So that is what she was up to. You know, she did say something interesting. That people should not be going into space. That it is too dangerous.
An automated control system for rockets, then.
She said something about wanting to get closer to her dying wish. I think she must have been talking about an old lover.
Lover? You mean another woman?
My! Aren't we curious about the women and other women? You want to hear the terrible things she tried to do to me?
That's not what I meant.
It's all right. You can be honest.
You two seem to get along awfully well together.
No, not at all.
I think you're hiding something.
Never mind. Aren't you supposed to be looking for the Quetzal? Here, I'll demonstrate its call for you.
I knew it. Let's go over this one more time. First, I need an ID card to get into the lab.
That is correct. From the outside, it looks like any other room. But on the inside, it is a state-of-the-art research facility.
And your ID card got taken away from you by some guy in an orange jacket.
Exactly. I had a Quetzal singing nearby. It has not been that long since it happened.
It could be tricky if he's out on patrol, but if he's a stationary sentry, you don't think the Quetzal's moved?
Its nest is probably nearby. I do not think it will go away anytime soon.
Good. I'll get on looking for that soldier.
If you forget what it sounds like, I will do the call for you again. Just give me a call anytime you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let me get this straight. You were in Costa Rica as a bird watcher?
Yes, I was. Not for pleasure, though. I am a researcher, after all. I am studying the distribution of Latin American bird species. With today's compact cassette tape recorders, even a woman like me can carry her recording equipment by herself. But it was a mistake to come alone.
Even so, there sure are a lot of wild birds in Costa Rica.
Aren't there? Over 800 different species. Said to be more than 10% of all living bird species on Earth. How many can you name, Mr. Ornithologist?
Hey, I was just trying not to scare you.
You should at least have a basic knowledge of Costa Rica. How about this? I will give you a thorough education, Mr. First-Time Ornithologist.
Okay. Start by telling me about the Quetzal. Cecile, what's that machine you said you used to make those recordings of yours? Cassette, something or other.
A cassette recorder, or a cassette denske, as they say in Japan.
Yeah, that. What is that thing anyway?
A portable recording device released last year by a Japanese company, Sony. It uses compact cassettes, making it far lighter than open-reel machines. It still weighs 5 kilograms, but the exercise won't kill me.
Ha!
It is user-friendly too. All the buttons have markings on them, allowing you to operate it without looking at it. Can you imagine missing the shot of a lifetime simply because you blinked?
Oh, that would be devastating. But where'd they come up with Densuke? Sounds like a Japanese name.
Allow me to field that one.
Kaz?
Densuke is a nickname that comes from the name of an old manga character.
Was he some recording nerd too?
Don't give me that. Recording atmospheric noises is an exhilarating art. There's nothing like capturing the real world in action on tape. It's just like taking pictures with a camera, only with a microphone instead of a viewfinder.
Sure.
Listen to a tape with your eyes closed, and the scene just bursts to life in your mind's eye. Tell him, Cecile.
Absolutely. When I listen to the sounds of the birds in my apartment, it is like I am back in the forest where I recorded them.
See? She's a Parisienne. She knows what's chic.
If you say so.
And what do you like to record, Monsieur Miller?
Me? Steam locomotives, no question. The roar of the engine, the throaty steam whistle. More animal than machine. Don't get me started. Steam locomotives are a dying breed in Japan. I wouldn't mind going back for a bit and making some new tapes while I still can.
You are less civilized than I thought.
Less civilized?
I detest those beasts. The noise frightens off all the birds. Then there is the smoke. I much prefer the peace and quiet of the forest.
Cecile, wait. that came out wrong.
Sure it did.
All right. What do you want to know about cat cells?
Give me the basics. Something that'll help me find one.
Okay then. First of all, as I'm sure you remember, the cat cell's wings and back are emerald green, a dazzling blend of viridian fading into blue. Its belly is brilliant red, and its tail feathers are white. Such a gorgeous bird. Also, the male has 2 long decorative feathers, but only during breeding season. Among birds, males are usually more beautiful than females.
Like a peacock's tail.
Yes, just like that. It is interesting to note that while their bodies are only 40 centimeters long, many cat cells reach over a meter in length when you include their decorative plumage. Cat cells typically build their nests by making holes in dead trees with their beaks, about 3 to 4 meters above the ground. They are omnivorous and eat everything from nuts to lizards.
Where can I find one?
Their habitat stretches across the entire tropical cloud forest. You may end up having to rely on its song to find one.
Good to know.
I will do an imitation. Listen closely.
Hey, not bad.
Shall I do a chicken next? Cluck, 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 buck, buck, buck.
No thanks. That's enough.
Are you sure? How about a monkey?
Yeah, don't need that either.
Oh, all right then.
You said you could do a monkey call.
Yes? Want to hear it?
Yeah, I won't be able to get it off my mind until I do.
All right, here it is then.
That's pretty good.
I can do others too, like a sheep, a pig.
Yeah? Wow. What about a pig? That's uncanny.
Oh, I can do a rabbit as well.
A rabbit? Rabbits make noises?
Certainly, but they are very faint, so perhaps only someone who has owned one would recognize them.
I see. So, what do they sound like?
Listen very carefully.
Okay. Seriously? Rabbits sound like that?
I assure you they do. Listen again.
Never heard a rabbit do that before.
They do, I swear. Costa Rica is the home to many hummingbirds as well. The people here call them colibri.
Colibri, huh?
Hummingbirds are the world's smallest birds. Although they can vary from species to species, most are around 10 centimeters in length, and the smallest no more than 5. It is amazing to think that something so small can still be a fully developed bird.
I think a bird that tiny would get mistaken for a bug.
Actually, they are often mistaken for sphinx moths. The little darlings feed on flower nectar, and their beaks are long and thin to help them drink up the nectar. They beat their wings far faster than any other bird. The smallest ones over 70 times a second. Can you imagine?
What for?
They hover in midair while they suck their nectar. They can even fly straight backwards.
Hovering. Like a helicopter. That's why Amanda and her unit called that chopper Colibri.
I think it is an insult to the birds to give their names to weapons. Don't you?
Don't ask me. Ask the birds how they feel about it.
Have you ever heard of the mannequins?
Never.
Unbelievable! You came all the way to Costa Rica and you've never even heard of them?
I didn't come here to look at...
Mannequins are known for their beautiful courtship dances. The orange-colored mannequin is said to live on the Pacific side, the white-bearded mannequin on the Caribbean side, and the long-tailed mannequin is in the Central Basin. The long-tailed mannequins are especially distinctive.
What's special about them?
First, each young male picks an older male to teach him how to dance. Then, teachers and pupils all get in a group and dance for the females. However, only the teachers get paired off with females. The pupils practice their technique for 7 years before striking out on their own and finding their own pupils.
I guess it takes time to get good at anything, whether it's dancing or soldiering.
Mannequins always have plenty to eat. Apparently, that is why they have so much free time to practice dancing.
Unlike us, obviously.
Another well-known bird of the cloud forest is the three-wattled bellbird.
Wattled? What the hell's a wattle?
It is just like your beard, Snake.
What?
It is a piece of flesh that hangs down from its chin. Kind of like whiskers, but not made of hair.
A hanging piece of flesh.
Oui, and it only grows on males.
Nothing more important to a man than his beard. So, these birds are in the cloud forest too?
They are normally found in the lowland rainforests, but they migrate into the highland cloud forests during breeding season. What the three-wattled bellbird is best known for, though, is its loud call. It makes these metallic bong and ding sounds, hence the name bellbird. It hardly sounds like a bird at all. Even an expert bird caller like me cannot do it justice.
Oh, doesn't sound like I'll be mistaking it for a quetzal.
Do you know the national bird of Costa Rica? Honestly, and you call yourself an ornithologist? The national bird of Costa Rica is the clay-colored robin. It's a plain-looking brown bird found throughout the country.
Why'd they make it the national bird then? Are there all kinds of better-looking birds like the quetzal?
The clay-colored robin has the most exquisite song. And I think it is part of the Costa Rican national character to choose a bird everyone knows and loves over prettier ones.
Somehow these people don't strike me as being very Latin.
Speaking as an ornithologist, I am rather happy with that choice. Not all birds have to be pretty. Oh, and just so you know, the quetzal is the national bird of Guatemala. The scarlet macaw and the great green macaw are also representative birds of Costa Rica. Macaws are a type of parrot, enormous, stately birds.
Macaw. I think I've heard that name somewhere before.
But of course you have. You are an ornithologist, no?
Stop it!
So, tell me, where do macaws live in Costa Rica today?
Oh, come on now.
I am only teasing you. Macaws live not in the cloud forests, but in the rainforests on the Pacific side of Costa Rica. In the past, they were a common sight all across the country. But lately, the population has decreased dramatically. One possible cause is the pesticide sprayed to facilitate large-scale banana cultivation.
Evicted from their own land, huh?
Thankfully, conservation efforts have been gaining some momentum lately.
Never heard the name Cosima before. Then again, I don't know many people from France. Is it a common name?
No, not that common. But Wagner's second wife was named Cosima Francesca Gaetana Wagner.
Huh.
You know, Kojima is a common last name in Japan.
Kaz?
It's just funny how, I'm part Japanese and Cecile's middle name is so close to Kojima. It feels like destiny unfolding.
You think so?
Oui, oui. That's a beautiful name you have. Cecile Cosima Caminades. Wait a second. Cecile Cosima Caminades. Cosima Caminades. Hey, that's close to
Close to what?
your name. It sounds almost like the sentence Kojima Caminandes in Japanese.
And what does it mean, s'il vous plaît?
Well, kami is the word for God in Japanese. Nandesu. Well, it's hard to explain, but placed after God, it would turn the sentence into is God.
Okay, so?
Kojima is God. Cecile's name is a message. I don't believe it. Kojima is God. Kojima is God.
Kaz? How are you enjoying Mother Base so far?
Ah, it is wonderful.
Good to hear. I was worried someone as cultured as you would find the plant a little uncouth.
Uncouth? You've got albatross, and frigate birds, and terns, and tropic birds. Seabirds I have never had a chance to see in France.
Oh, well, great.
Sorry, I know I should not spend all day chasing birds. Is there anything I can help with?
I appreciate the offer, but I'm not sure what I could ask you to do.
Well, I'm certainly not cut out to shoot a gun.
Cecile, where'd you learn to move through the forest like that? The birds weren't scared of you at all.
Becoming one with the forest is the very essence of bird watching. They won't behave naturally if they sense a human nearby. And that can really affect your observations.
I see. Kind of like scouting then.
I am also good at spotting birds from a distance, tracking them based on the tiniest of clues, and being aware of my surroundings.
You're starting to sound even more like a scout.
The only way to find a bird is to think like a bird. Now, think you can find a place for me?
Yeah. Did you live in Paris your whole life before coming here?
Ah, yes. It is my favorite city. Paris is the world capital of art and culture. It has the latest fashion, the best cuisine, and the most elegant, refined people. The beauty of the Champs-Élysées at night is almost unearthly. The name comes from Elysium, the name of paradise in Greek mythology. Heaven, in other words.
Must be nice for some people. Not for me.
Are you saying the cultured life does not appeal to you?
I'm saying I never had a chance to lead one. Not that it appealed to me anyway.
You prefer war?
I don't like war. Life outside heaven just suits me better.
That is a hard way to live. But if you do ever come to France, I will show you around Paris. Then you will see what heaven on earth is really like.
Heaven on earth, huh? The only image I have of France is the Foreign Legion.
Ah, that is how you view France?
What do the French think of them?
It is a difficult question. We normally don't think about it so much.
Well, critics claim it forces foreigners to take on the most dangerous missions, so French citizens won't get hurt.
You are right. That probably had something to do with why it was created. But I understand that along with service comes benefits, such as French citizenship and permanent residency. Those who join are all given an equal chance, regardless of race, religion, education, social status, or national origin. So it can be a godsend for people from poor countries.
A way for the have-nots to live a decent life. I guess that's not so different from MSF. There's one other image I have of France. The national anthem.
Ah, La Marseillaise. Not everyone is a fan, of course.
The whole, to arms, citizens. May an impure blood water our furrows thing, eh?
The song was composed right after the French Revolution. Fearing what the tide of the revolution represented, the ruling classes in neighboring countries applied all kinds of pressure on the young government. La Marseillaise became the anthem of the volunteer armies that sought to protect constitutional rule against that pressure.
And they couldn't do that without armed force.
Oui, I agree, some parts are a little belligerent. But we must not forget that if it were not for them, France would not be the democracy it is today. Have you ever seen The Umbrellas of Cherbourg?
A movie? No, never seen it.
No? It came out 10 years ago. Catherine Deneuve. She's so beautiful in it. And the music, the costumes, the colors.
Huh.
It takes place in the naval port of Cherbourg.
That was a beachhead in Normandy.
It is set back when young men were conscripted to fight in the Algerian War.
The French government called the conflict a public order operation in northern Africa.
I was still a little girl then, but I can clearly remember one of my friend's older brothers going off to fight.
Yeah, national service is required in France.
The war splits up two young lovers. Director Jacques Demy's lyrics and Michel Legrand's music tore at my heart. I will never forget its wonderful melodies.
Are you okay?
It changes lives, changes fates. War is not a good thing.
For some reason, it strikes a chord to hear that coming from someone like you. Speaking of the Algerian War of Independence, you ever hear of the Day of the Jackal?
Ah, you mean the novel that was made into a movie last year? The OAS, a militant French underground group, plots to assassinate de Gaulle, hiring a hitman known as the Jackal. Readers know that de Gaulle was not killed, but it is still so exciting. If someone was going to try to eliminate me, I would hope they would be as thorough as the Jackal, to know everything about me without me suspecting a thing.
Oh, yeah?
I wonder if my birds feel the same way.
I wonder.
France conducted its first successful nuclear test in the Algerian Sahara in 1960.
A lot of French scientists took part in the Manhattan Project. They defected to America to escape wartime occupation.
Correct. And once the war was over, they returned to France and continued their own atomic research. President de Gaulle did not want to have to rely on the American nuclear umbrella for protection,
Thus making France the world's fourth nuclear power.
Some say the test success pacified the Algerian rebels. The civil war was undoubtedly held in check, but never have I equated nuclear weapons with peace. France has produced many philosophers over the years. Descartes, Bataille, Sartre, Baudrillard.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Sartre myself. He called Che Guevara the most complete man of the century, didn't he? Smart guy.
He does tend to sympathize with the left. And what else do you know about him?
That's it.
You know nothing else?
Nope.
Ooh la la! The man is one of the giants of existentialism, you know?
Existentialism. I've been meaning to look into that. Nothing more dangerous than sneaking in without first securing an exit.
No, existentialism. Sometimes I wonder if my English is not better than yours.
Sorry, I'm just not into philosophy.
Ah, is that so? I would imagine it might really enrich your life.
I'd rather take action now than spend time thinking about what we are or how we're supposed to live. I guess you could say I live my philosophy.
Interesting. That sounds like something Sartre would say.
Yeah?
He says we are born with no defined nature, and that we are free to make ourselves what we wish.
Free. So he was one of those devil-may-care kind of guys, huh?
No. Actually, he meant that because we are free to create our own life, we must take full responsibility for our actions. Man is condemned to be free, is how he put it.
Condemned to be free.
But then, others will take it upon themselves to define who you are.
I've been feeling that way lately. I keep telling people to call me Snake, but nobody seems to listen.
Sartre also says, hell is other people.
Hell. Well, we are outside of heaven.
Do you have an interest in the visual arts, Snake?
Not really. Please, no deep conversation.
But you have heard of Picasso, yes?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Sadly, Monsieur Picasso, co-founder of Cubism, passed away in the south of France last year. France was his home, you know.
Huh? I thought he was born in Spain.
Do you know his full name?
Pablo Picasso. Anyone would know he's Spanish with a name like...
Huh. Shows what you know.
What do you mean?
Okay, here we go. Pablo Diego José Francisco de la Pala Juan Nepomuceno María de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Ruiz y Picasso. What do you think? That was his full name.
Still, I don't see how...
A master of modern art, a genius who crafted over 100,000 works in various styles, spending the greater part of his life in France. The man is a part of our culture.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is of limited use in my field. But back to the point. Picasso was Spanish, right? Or am I missing something? He wasn't French, right? Right? Cecile.
What difference does it make? It does not matter if he was from Spain or from Mars. Picasso is Picasso. It does not change the fact that he lived in France, nor does it take away from his monumental legacy. Why do you care so much about where he was from, anyway? Whatever happened to the sans frontière part of Militaire sans frontière?
You started it. France was his...
What was that?
Nothing.
Tell me, Snake, do you ever put sweets in your rations?
Never thought about it before. Why?
Ah, I simply love them. French sweets are très délicieux. Everyone knows crepes, but there are also profiteroles, eclairs, madeleines, financiers. Then there's tarte-tatin, and you can't forget Savarin. Oh, and millefeuille, crepes, blancmange.
Yeah, you already mentioned crepes.
Soufflés, croquembouche, cannelle, Florentine, Queen Amagne, peach melbas.
Finished?
And macaroons. I love those the most. Macaroon Parisian are the best. They are so cute and colorful, and they contain meringue, so they melt right in your mouth.
Wow. I'd no idea macaroons were that popular in France, too.
What do you mean in France, too?
Macaroons are those coconut-flavored cookies, right?
Oh, excuse you? Macaroons contain almond powder, not coconuts.
Don't they have peanuts in them? I've had them in Japan a few times. I thought they were called macarons.
Macarons? Some cheap imitation, I am sure. French macaroons have a long and distinguished history. They date back to the 16th century when Catherine de Medici of Florence married into the French royal family. The story goes that her pâtissier shared the recipe after they arrived. That is a history of over 500 years.
So, they're originally from Italy then?
Well,
Don't macaroons come from Italy too?
look, I do not really think.
Keep in mind, macaron is almost identical to macaroni.
Well, that settles it.
I cannot believe this. To associate macaroons with macaroni? You, Monsieur Miller, are an insensible oaf.
Hey, why am I the bad guy? Come on, Cecile, wait! Cecile!
Hello? Snake? Mon chéri?
You been drinking, Cecile?
Can't you please do something about this pest?
Who?
Monsieur Miller!
What's he done now?
Wine.
Wine?
He said he thought the soldiers might tire of having beer all the time, so he's brought in some wine instead. And then he gave me a bunch.
Well, that was nice of him.
But the past 2 years have been bad for French wine. Perhaps it is the bad weather we have had. But whatever the case, I told him the last thing you want to be drinking right now is French wine.
Well, California and Chile have good wine too.
But then he goes and stocks the pantry with nothing but French wine from 72. The stuff is a disaster. Then he says, "Come on, Cecile, have a taste of the old country." I had a terrible feeling about it, so I decided just to taste it at first. And then again. And then a few more times.
Took one for the team, huh? But when you do a tasting, don't you usually spit the wine out?
But bottle after bottle, nothing but garbage. Absolute garbage. Not one half-decent bottle in the whole lot. Taste of the old country, he says.
Sorry to hear that.
I cannot believe this. What will we do with all this wine?
The guys aren't too picky when it comes to taste.
You sound just like Monsieur Miller.
Huh?
When I complained, he simply said, "As long as it gets the job done." You people are such culinary savages. Allez to vous faire voir. Somebody take me back to Paris, please.
I think you've had a little too much, Cecile. You seem like a very, how do I put this, uninhibited woman.
You think so? I am no different from other Parisian women. Not since May 1968.
May 1968? The general strike that almost brought down the president?
Right. But it was more than just a strike. It started with the student movement at Strasbourg University in '66. They did not want anything from the country, but instead sought reform at the school. That helped ignite a fire in the hearts of scores of dissatisfied young people. And the movement spread all over France. It was more than just opposition to Vietnam and the de Gaulle administration. People also called for free love and the breaking away from other old values. Looking back, I am not sure what the main goal really was. But whatever the case, it was more of a young people's movement than a strike or a protest.
So, it was like the hippies or something?
In some ways, perhaps. But we weren't blinded by mysticism, nor did we seek a return to nature.
I see. So, while they wanted to retreat to their closed communes...
We tried to change the world. And in doing so, we learned that when everyone comes together, it can be done.
You had a lot more success. In America, hippies have just become a social problem, while I hear Japan's student movements crashed and burned.
I wonder what was different.
Good question. I'd like to know myself.
AI stands for artificial intelligence. It refers to a man-made machine possessing an intellect on par with that of a human being.
Is that even possible?
Possible. You've seen it with your own eyes. What the AI weapons are capable of. How Peace Walker carried out the boss's will in the end. No mere machine could ever choose to sacrifice itself like that.
I just can't see how a bunch of circuits and switches could have a will of its own.
It's called the ghost in the machine, Snake. And it exists.
What did you mean by the ghost in the machine?
Oh, that. It's a term coined by the philosopher Gilbert Ryle. You've heard of Descartes, yes?
I think, therefore I am.
That is the one. Descartes espoused the dualistic theory of mind and body. He believed that our thinking minds exist in a separate dimension from our bodies, which are governed by the laws of physics. But, if that were true, then couldn't you say that a mechanical body, inhabited by a ghost mind, is a human being? Ryle criticized Descartes on those grounds, saying such a thing surely wouldn't be human.
Why'd you bring it up?
I wasn't thinking of Ryle in particular when I said it. I simply thought that if a person is composed of a machine and a ghost, perhaps the opposite is true as well. Perhaps, by placing a ghost inside a machine, we could, in effect, give birth to a new person.
And that was your idea for the boss AI?
The moment you ripped the memory board out, the mammal pod ceased to function. It should have been dead. And yet, Peace Walker righted itself, singing a song of peace. I couldn't help but feel that her soul had come to inhabit Peace Walker.
Let's say, hypothetically, there really was an intelligent machine. How would you prove it? What's the difference between a high-level computer and an AI?
It depends on what you choose to define as intelligence. For example, Snake, listen to my voice talking to you now. Suppose it were an AI.
Say what?
What if the living, breathing me sitting here drinking tea and talking to you were actually an AI, programmed to simulate my thoughts and my voice?
You're nuts.
No, I'm not. You couldn't prove I was a real human being, could you?
It'd be... No.
So if an AI is so advanced you can't tell it from the real thing, wouldn't you call that intelligence?
I'm not quite convinced.
But that's only one way to look at it. It's roughly how Dr. Turing explained artificial intelligence. The test I described is called the Turing test, in his honor.
Yeah, well, sounds like a bad joke to me. That singing monster of yours put me through hell. If I never meet one again, it'll be too soon.
Shame. And I was about to let an AI take my place in our conversation.
Don't even think about it.
Dr. Alan Turing is known as the father of computer science. It was he who formulated the basic theory of AI. During the war, he worked for GC and CS.
The government's cryptology school. The one that broke Enigma.
The very same. Without him, they might never have been able to decipher the Germans' code. But then, they arrested him.
Why? Weren't his some of the greatest contributions to winning the war?
Homosexuality was a crime in Britain back then, and he was gay. I know exactly how crushed he was. I feel it's my duty to further his AI research.
Like the Imitation Game, huh?
Huh. You know it then. The clue that inspired the Turing test came from a trifling little party game. You exchange written notes with another person behind a screen and try to guess their gender, whether they're a woman or a man, pretending to be a woman. It's surprisingly difficult to tell the difference. Man or woman, human or machine. What do the differences even mean? Dr. Turing was fascinated by the differences between men and women. Perhaps that's what led him to formulate his test.
What if you hadn't used the boss as the model for the AI?
What do you mean?
If the end goal is MAD, it seems like there are more suitable models out there. A military chief of staff, or a nuclear technician, even the president.
Patriotism, leadership, good judgment. Each of those qualities is essential when deciding whether to launch a nuke, and she had them all.
Wouldn't the president, too?
It's not enough. She had the will for it.
Will?
Let me explain, Snake. Peace Walker is a standalone weapon. It has to decide on its own whether or not to launch a nuke. It can't turn to anyone else for advice. It can't do its job if it's not prepared to take sole responsibility for the fate of the world. I know of no other human being who could bear that burden.
That's it?
There were technical considerations, of course. To begin with, the female brain is a more appropriate model for an AI.
Oh, wait, the female brain? What do you mean by that, modeling your AI after the female brain?
Snake, what is the human mind capable of that a computer is not?
Being lazy?
Interesting response. And not incorrect. But the answer I was looking for was empathy.
Empathy?
The ability to feel for others, to be more precise. Love for a child. Pity for the weak. Grief for the dead. All of these are particularly well developed in the female brain.
That's stretching it a little.
On the contrary, it's perfectly reasonable. The male brain, on the other hand, may be well suited for systematic thinking, but it's less able to empathize. In that sense, it's closer to a computer. So if your objective is to make the AI think more like a human...
You need to teach it how to empathize like a woman.
The novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, deals with this very problem. In the book, an empathy test is used to distinguish between machines and human beings. As machines become more and more advanced, our society will gradually become more and more systematic. Our cities will teem with robot-like people, unable to feel for others. We cannot allow that to happen. Computers must learn to empathize. The same goes for humans, only more so.
Well, what about yourself? You make these claims, and yet I've never seen you empathize with a real person.
It's true. Until now, I was a prisoner of death. It was my intention to die upon the completion of Mammal's development. She was my one reason to live.
But you changed your mind.
I did. Because she taught me the dignity of living. My eyes are open now. I want to go on living and seeing real people.
Huh. I see. Is it really necessary to make machines think like humans? I think empathy would get in the way of making the decision to retaliate.
I admit, human thought may not be fully compatible with level-headed decision-making. Then again, is there such a thing as non-human thought? The moment computers became so advanced that they could calculate faster than human beings, a new dream was born.
Dream?
If we can create a machine that can do advanced mathematics, why can't we create one that can think like a human? The 19th century author, Auguste Villiers-L'Isle-Adam, wrote a book called Tomorrow's Eve, in which the protagonist fashions an artificial woman to serve as his ideal lover. I believe the idea of creating an intelligent being with our own hands is one of mankind's oldest dreams.
So AI is a product of people's dreams, then?
Not only AI, civilization itself is the process by which mankind gives form to its dreams. But not all dreams are pleasant. Some have expressed fears about non-human intelligence.
Yeah, they want the benefits with none of the risks.
Some fear that intelligent robots might rise up and rebel against their human masters, as portrayed by the Czech writer Karel Čapek in his Rossum's Universal Robots, or in the 1970 film Colossus, the Forbin Project, where intelligent supercomputers in the US and the Soviet Union join forces and plot to subjugate humanity. Isaac Asimov offered a specific solution to these fears with his 3 laws of robotics, which demonstrated that while robot intelligence is different from that of humans, the two can coexist. In order to endow computers with intelligence, we must first have a thorough understanding of what intelligence is, and that is where the need for a practical and feasible expert system arises.
So what's an expert system?
The AI housed within Peace Walker began development as such a system. An expert system is a type of proxy program by which a computer makes decisions as an expert would. The program, Mycin, for example, is a system that decides which kind of antibiotics to prescribe. The system asks the patient a series of questions to narrow down the range of appropriate drugs.
So you program Peace Walker to prescribe live nuclear warheads instead of penicillin.
What I realized, however, was that a simple expert system wasn't up to the task.
You need more than expertise to launch a nuke.
Indeed, expertise is a necessary prerequisite, but insufficient on its own. Deciding to launch a retaliatory strike requires consideration of a wider range of factors. In such a scenario, the entire global situation becomes the criterion for making a decision.
Makes sense. You screw up the prescription and the whole world goes into anaphylactic shock.
A weak AI that only has a limited range of knowledge upon which to base its decisions won't cut it. Therefore, I had the AI study the boss's thought patterns, thus creating a true expert system. A strong AI.
You couldn't leave the world in the hands of something with anything less than absolute worldview.
I could have built a simple expert system in no time at all. Say, how would you like a system that decides which guns you should equip according to the mission's parameters?
I'll pass. I'm not going to leave my life up to somebody else's judgment. Especially not a machine.
With current technology, AI are inevitably enormous in size. But as circuit integration continues to advance, they will become even smaller. As small as human brains, and perhaps smaller than that. And in the meantime, robotics will continue to advance as well, to the point where we can create androids, robots that resemble humans. And then...
And then what?
Well, I don't need to spell it out for you, do I?
Don't tell me you're thinking of making an android imitation of the boss.
Surely the thought has crossed your mind as well. Of one day being reunited with her?
Enough! I don't want any part of it.
I see. I didn't mean to offend you. In reality, AI is more likely to evolve in the opposite direction anyway.
The opposite direction? What does that mean?
More and more AI are becoming systems that specialize in mass information processing, without human intelligence, thought, or emotion. A machine that has no individualism or sense of self, but rather behaves as a collective, exhibiting the qualities of a society.
Like a beehive.
Yes, it aggregates data collected by individuals and determines how the collective will act, just as honeybees travel between the hive and flowers. The key to achieving that will be networking AI together.
I don't know how to say this, but that kind of gives me the creeps.
But if your goal is to control society, it's the better model to use. It lets you filter data, disseminate only what you want disseminated. Of course, I myself have no interest in an AI without a shred of life to it.
Earlier, you called the mammal pod a butterfly. Not a pupa or a cocoon, but an imago.
Yes, the AI that came before the mammal pod were works in progress.
Works in progress.
They were enough to keep the frame running, but not enough to make decisions about nuclear retaliation. They weren't quite complete. They were pupae. Only when I added the boss's data did the AI take on its true form, becoming a butterfly and taking flight.
And that's why the nose art on Peace Walker was a butterfly.
I gave the mammal AI the code name BS Imago. BS is short for boss.
Huey called that gigantic unmanned chopper a chrysalis. Is that another one of your AI code names?
Yes, you're referring to the TJ Chrysalis 6000. There's also the GW Pupa 5000, the TR Cocoon 7000.
I get it. A hovercraft type and a treaded type. And those letters on the front. TJ, GW, or whatever. Those are initials?
Correct. The initials of the American presidents whose faces are carved into Mount Rushmore.
Then you're missing one.
I assigned that one to the reptile pod. AL Aurelia 8000.
Aurelia. Another word for chrysalis. A pupa just before it emerges.
All of the initials, except for BS, were of Coldman's choosing. I chose mine from the storied ranks of British royalty. MS, AV, EW.
What do those stand for?
You can't guess. Why, Mary Stuart, Alexandrina Victoria, and Elizabeth Windsor.
All queens. Of course.
Are you familiar with the film 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I've heard of it, but...
Of course not. I didn't expect you to be cultured enough to appreciate such things.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway...
2001 features an AI called HAL, a highly advanced system that controls an exploration spacecraft. It can converse with people, and even play chess.
Huh. Now where have I heard that before?
The way HAL was portrayed was truly superb.
How so?
HAL is given secret orders that not even the ship's captain knows about. Naturally, he's not allowed to divulge them to the crew. The stress of it causes HAL to crack.
Crack?
Go crazy. Though there are those who interpret it differently. One by one, HAL kills off the crew until the captain finally shuts it down. The film offers amazing insights into AI, their growth, their utility, their faults, and their fear of death.
Well, you must have found it useful in your research then.
Must you always be so utilitarian? It doesn't matter whether or not it's useful. What matters is that it inspired me.
Then it was useful.
Never mind. The portrayal of Hal wasn't the only wonderful thing about the film. It was full of hints about the future of human evolution. Truly, a film for the ages.
Strangelove, when did you and the boss first meet?
Did she ever tell you about what she saw in space?
Yeah.
I saw the same thing along with her. The Soviets beat America into space with Sputnik, and so America rushed to be first in manned spaceflight. NASA used her as their top-secret guinea pig, launching her deep into the cold blackness of space. I took part in the project, as a scientist.
You were there with her?
Yes. For a brief time. We were one and the same, she and I. We sought each other out, completed each other. Did you know that inside every woman there's a universe, and that we are able to sense this in each other? We connected because of our empathetic female brains. As time went on, I began to have doubts about offering such a noble soul as sacrifice. Why did she have to... The flight test was a narrow success, and she miraculously made it back alive, but her mind and body were horribly mangled, and there was nothing I could do for her. We were no longer one and the same. She went away, and I, having nothing else to live for, immersed myself in AI research, hoping that no one would ever have to make her sacrifice again.
I never knew.
It's not really worth knowing. We were ships passing in the night, that's all. Perhaps someday I'll tell you the long version, if you're interested.
That was quite a warm welcome you gave me at the base in Costa Rica.
Sorry about that. But I simply had to know.
The boss's final act.
Yes, by inputting her thoughts and actions into the AI, I was imbuing it with her mind. The only thing I couldn't understand was her final act.
Operation Snake Eater.
Official history says she betrayed her homeland and defected to the enemy, and was killed by you. But it didn't make sense. The boss would be the last person on Earth to betray her country. It was logically inconsistent.
It was, wasn't it?
That internal inconsistency prevented the AI from activating properly. Just as Hal malfunctioned in the film, I understood the reasoning, but I had to have proof. Proof of her final act, her true intentions, one way or another.
So you tried to squeeze it out of me, huh?
As a matter of fact, I did. Your silence was the very answer I was looking for.
That white horse the boss rode.
The Andalusian, yes.
How'd it get to Costa Rica?
I went looking for it. It was her final witness. Even if it couldn't speak, I found it and brought it here.
Where? I thought for sure it'd be blown to ashes by those MiGs.
I searched the ends of the earth for that horse, and found it at last in a horse market in Britain.
Britain? Are you saying it came all the way over the Ural Mountains, through Europe, and across the English Channel?
Who knows, really? Perhaps someone took it there.
Wait, the thought never occurred to you that it might be a different Andalusian that only looks the same?
I can't prove it. Or rather, I couldn't.
What do you mean?
You should know best of all. That horse wouldn't let anyone ride it. And believe me, I nearly killed myself trying. The only one it allowed on its back was you. That was the proof. Though I hate to admit it.
And to think, I ran it to its death.
But in that last run, it regained the glory of its youth, using the last of its strength to pursue its former master. Any horse would wish for such a fine end.
What do you make of Peace Walker's final act?
I recreated her thought patterns exactly. It was exactly what she would have done. The world's most empathetic mind weighed the past, the future, and the entire world, and decided not to retaliate. Merely knowing that is enough for me.
So, what you're saying is, we don't need deterrence to have peace?
I didn't say that. What's important is that we wish for peace. MSF needs a way to protect itself from the might of nations. Survival requires pragmatic thought and action. But you must still retain your ideals. If the gap between reality and those ideals ever leads you to lose them, I doubt MSF will survive.
Strangelove. Is that a code name?
No, just a nickname. Don't tell me you don't recognize it. From Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. It's a film that came out in 1964. A dark comedy about the absurdity of nuclear deterrence.
You were in a movie?
No, stupid. I got my nickname because of that movie.
Why? Because you look like the doctor in the movie?
No, that Dr. Strangelove was a man.
So?
Back when I was at ARPA, I kept a photo of the boss on my desk. I was totally engrossed in my research and showed no interest in the opposite sex. Plus, I had a photo of a woman on my desk. The fools around me turned it into a cruel taunt, calling me Strangelove. Even for a bunch of shut-ins who never went out to the cinema, that title seemed to ring true with them. Anyhow, in their eyes, homosexuality was something strange. They were incapable of seeing things outside the lens of their own standards. Being strange means you have your own unique point of view. I rather considered it an honor.
So, you were with ARPA before you came here, huh?
Yes, back then it was really the only place I could make a living from my AI research.
And before that?
I started out at NASA. That's where I met her.
When Boss went into space?
Yes. It was that incident that turned me away from aerospace engineering. Space is entirely too hazardous a place for human beings. That was why I felt an immediate need to develop AI. As it turned out, rockets later became much safer, and mankind reached the surface of the moon. In any event, it was a hollow Cold War victory. When you get down to it, a nuclear missile is just a rocket with a nuclear warhead strapped to it. Thus, taking the initiative in the space race was tantamount to a military show of force.
But the budgetary strain was too big for Washington or Moscow to handle.
Yes, and then there was the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Vietnam War, and then came détente. Having leapt ahead of the Soviet Union with its moon landing, America shut down the Apollo program in '72. It was around then that ARPA was downsized and renamed DARPA, the D standing for Defense. With few prospects for continuing my AI research, Coldman's invitation was a godsend. It was also a chance to have them collect data on her.
The end result being this mess.
But we did learn something valuable from her. The nobility of peace.
Why'd you agree to come here, to Mother Base?
You intrigued me.
Me? Hold on. You're not planning on modeling your next AI after me.
Not a bad idea, but I have no intention of ever again attempting to transplant human thought into machines.
Oh, that's a relief.
You are the man who inherited the boss's will. You're gathering people around you, even now, shaping them, building a new organization. I'd like to see how it turns out.
You're not planning to go back to AI research?
I never said such a thing. Of course my work will continue.
Here?
In my eyes, the growth of MSF as an organization is analogous to the development of the nervous system. The way you become intertwined, stimulate each other, branch out in new directions. It's really quite inspirational.
Interesting way to put it.
Of course, I intend to repay you for your hospitality. The fruits of my research will be at your disposal. Why not assign me to the R&D team? I promise you won't be disappointed.
You know, that ID card I got from Huey wouldn't let me into the lab.
Of course not. I deactivated it.
Why?
As though I'd let him into my lab.
Oh, you don't seem to care for him much, even though you two are in the same field.
Oh, please. For starters, I can't stand that wishy-washy attitude of his. If he's got something to say to me, he should be a man and come say it in person, not write some furtive letter.
But if his card doesn't work, how's he supposed to—
And another thing, the way he always demeans himself. Every other sentence begins with, I could be wrong, but... Why can't he just do what he does and be confident about it?
Well, there was the thing about his dissertation being plagiarized.
The real problem is he doesn't have a whit of independence in him. In Costa Rica, and even back at NASA, he was always following people around, asking if there was some way he could help. Why doesn't he stop his whining, take a stand, and face up to me?
I think I know how he feels.
And to top it all off, he seems to enjoy referring to himself by that nickname I gave him. I simply don't get it. How can he be so submissive?
So, Huey was a nickname you gave him.
That's right. I took it from the name of a drone in the science fiction film Silent Running.
Drone?
It's a type of worker robot. The way he follows people, just waiting for them to boss him around, is so similar. I couldn't help myself. Oh, it's an American film directed by Douglas Trumbull, the man who did the special effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Imagine that. A scientist who likes science fiction.
And that's not all.
There's more.
He's a man.
Hang on. I seem to remember you saying he should be more of a man.
Yes. Well, he is an awfully good scientist. Without his reptile pod, my mammal pod wouldn't function, just as the cerebrum can't exist without the cerebellum and the brainstem. He did a fine job of designing it. I'll give him that.
That sounded suspiciously like praise.
It's merely an objective observation. I like people who possess the will to move forward. I have no time for those who refuse to take control of their lives. Until he does, my opinion remains the same.
So, you and Cecile seem to be enjoying yourselves back at that lab.
What are you insinuating? I only kept her because I didn't want our secret to be known.
And the personal baths? You could have left her in there alone and locked the door from the outside.
Yes, well, she seemed anxious, so I...
Now, why would she be anxious?
She was beautiful. I was only admiring her beauty.
She was terrified.
I never meant her any harm. She knew that. I know she did.
But she felt like she was in enough danger to run away.
No matter what I did, if Coltman found her, she would have been... You're right. The truth is, I wanted to save her. But not if it meant forestalling the completion of Mammal.
So you made it easy for her to escape?
Do you really think I am that soft? I'll admit security wasn't exactly tight. It wouldn't have been difficult for her to escape from the building.
Seemed like she had a rougher time after she got out.
At any rate, I never did anything to her to deserve any blame. Is that clear?
Okay. I believe you.
Huey's probably mentioned this, but just to be clear, there's a limit to the parts we can produce here at Mother Base. Therefore, I've built Zeke's AI using memory boards you pulled from other AI weapons.
Will that work?
In the human brain, individual functions are spread across multiple regions. The same is true of AI. Multiple parts sharing the same function interlink to strengthen that function. For example, the more sensor memory boards you have, the greater Zeke's search and detect capabilities will be. Install more movement boards, and you'll increase its mobility.
Meaning the AI's capabilities change depending on how much memory we give it?
Exactly. The more boards you install, the more powerful a function will be.
How's the Zeke AI different from Peace Walker's?
Zeke's AI isn't a replica of the human thought process. It isn't programmed to make decisions about nuclear retaliation. On the other hand, it is capable of highly independent action in combat when given orders from a pilot. It can protect infantry, destroy the enemy, and If ordered,
Launch a nuke.
let us hope it never comes to that.
My sentiments exactly.
Number of warheads detected by the dew line.
57.
Number of MIRVs included.
Minimum 29, maximum 35.
Target region.
United States, East Coast.
Estimated time of re-entry.
2048 Zulu.
President selected attack option.
Unknown.
The president is dead.
Unknown. Communication has been lost.
I select Offutt Air Force Base as my target.
Offutt? But that's a U.S. base. What on earth do you mean?
Based on the projected number of incoming warheads, Washington, D.C. is presumed destroyed. The president is most likely dead. The U.S. government's control lost.
I realize that. So why not retaliate?
With both sides destroyed, global anarchy would ensue. Recovery would be difficult. The United States' nuclear strike capability must therefore be neutralized in order to preserve the communist bloc, where government remains largely intact.
You're siding with the enemy. You can't be serious.
Tell me, how do you define enemy? There are no borders in this world.
The same conclusion again and again. Where is the flaw? All right, let's try something else. Commencing test.
Understood.
You're crossing a suspension bridge.
Is this my mission?
Yes, your destination is the other side. The bridge is wide enough for only one person to pass at a time. A man is approaching from the opposite side. He's carrying a gun.
I shoot him.
Suppose he's your husband.
I shoot him.
In self-defense?
To spare him the grief. One must die, and one must live.
Next question. Your father asks you to fix the roof and mow the lawn. When you climb the ladder onto the roof, the ladder is taken away.
I fix the roof.
And when you're finished?
I jump down.
You'll break more than bones at this height.
I see no need to change my decision. I have not finished mowing the lawn. I must remain loyal to the mission.
Next. There is a snake in the bushes. It is poisonous. I need you to get rid of it.
I chase it back to its nest.
You can't. The snake's too vicious. It's already killed many people.
I chase it away.
It will bite you unless you kill it.
Go home. Kill me. Kill me now.
Why not kill the snake? Your mission is to get rid of it. Is this what you call loyalty? What are you loyal to? Country? Ideology? Feelings?
I am loyal to myself.
Who's there?
Who's that? Intruder!
I'm about to leave for Costa Rica, a place completely unfamiliar to me, and on a top-secret mission for the CIA, no less. No guarantees I'll come back alive. Might even get rubbed out by the CIA itself. So I'm leaving behind this record. For her sake. For the boss's honor. Ever since I was a child, I've loved to look up at the night sky. I'd go outside after sunset and drink in the cold air. The moon, Venus, so many stars floating on the edge of infinity. In Manchester, it wasn't very often you saw the night sky in all its star-studded glory, but it was enough to stir a deep longing inside me. Even as others cowered beneath Nazi air raids, I was out there, watching the skies, dreaming of one day reaching the heavens. There were, of course, more practical concerns. My skin was incredibly sensitive. Even the slightest bit of sun would turn it an angry shade of red. Playing outside during the day was completely out of the question. Naturally, I hardly ever had the chance to play with other children my age. But I never felt lonely for it. Their way of thinking was irrational, making them simple, easy to predict. The boys would talk of tanks and aeroplanes and creepy, crawly bugs. The girls of pretty dresses, glass beads, and tea and cakes. Of boys they liked. I never had much to say on such matters. The curious thing is, adults really aren't all that different. They're simple, capricious, especially men. As they get older, their heads fill with thoughts of women, and more women. Thankfully, I always did have a head for mathematics. When I was about 10, I'd visited Dr. Turing, who lived nearby. We'd sit and discuss mathematical logic. The lights were always on at his house, even in the dead of night. Theoretically, he'd say, there's no algorithm that a computing machine couldn't reproduce. Dr. Turing wasn't foolish like other men. Although I didn't find out why until later, after he died. The time will come, he'd say, when computers will be able to think for themselves. That idea rocked me to my core. My aptitude for mathematics brought me closer to the stars. I breezed through school, then went to America for university. While I was studying at Caltech, NASA was established. I signed up in a heartbeat. I was a pretty good computer engineer at the time, and NASA needed skills like mine. The work was enjoyable. Even though I'd given up on going into space myself, it was a pleasure just being a part of it all. I was assigned to Project Mercury, America's effort to compete with the Soviets in manned spaceflight. 7 men were chosen as pilot candidates for the program, becoming heroes overnight. People called them the Mercury 7. The project made good progress, more or less. We had all the funds and materials we needed. After countless hours of analysis, we even had plans for something on par with Sputnik. We thought it'd only be a matter of time before we caught up with the Russians. They'd sent a dog into orbit and brought it back safely to Earth. But NASA top brass dismissed that success as a fluke. The Americans recovered their re-entry capsules at sea, but the only ocean bordering the Soviet Union is the Arctic, so their re-entry capsules had to make impact on land. A dog was one thing, but human spaceflight would still take some time, or so we thought. At the end of January 1961, we successfully put a chimpanzee named Ham into orbit. He returned to Earth as healthy as ever. NASA was giddy with success. It was then that a new woman showed up for duty. She was a backup pilot and advisor. She was beautiful, with blonde hair, strong mouth, and a steely gaze. But there was something else in those eyes, a twinkle of something warmer, of affection. It was the boss. She took one look at us in our revelry and murmured, "Savor this joy today, because tomorrow you'll have to face the truth." And she was right. The next day, our project schedule was accelerated. We'd received new information that the Soviets were mere months away from putting a man into space. The brass had misjudged the Russians. We couldn't afford to allow the shock of another Sputnik. Somehow, we had to get a man into space before the Russians did. It was an utterly impossible task. We'd only just put our first chimp up. With a human on board, failure was not an option, especially if it were one of the Mercury 7 Golden Boys. And on top of that, the brass wanted to put a window in the spacecraft. The pilot wouldn't be a test animal this time, they said, and when this hero came back alive and well, they wanted him to describe what he'd seen. It was madness. Adding a window to our existing spacecraft would leave it unable to handle the stress, not to mention the problem of shielding the occupant from cosmic rays. But the boss rose to the task, and splendidly. She claimed to be a layman when it came to space, but caught on keenly to new ideas and concepts. She was demanding, of herself and of others. She seemed rather cold-hearted at times, but I was smitten. She was beautiful, yes, but more than that, she was wise. Her mind was thoroughly rational, and yet no matter how I tried, I could never predict her actions. It was easy for me to assume that her judgments were drawn from an enormous base of knowledge. Quite simply, her life experiences were more diverse, more intense than anyone else's. To me, they seemed boundless in their breadth. In her, I saw a reflection of the night sky. Perhaps because I too was a woman, she and I became close. I couldn't go out in the sun, but she lit up my life. Her light was soft, like that of the moon. I was so happy. With her unerring guidance, the project steadily regained its footing. But one issue remained, the pilot's safety. When the day came to choose a pilot, the Mercury 7 just quietly walked out. Who could blame them? It was far too great a risk to take. Even if they'd volunteered, NASA would never have let them go. They were national heroes, basking in the media spotlight. There was no way they'd be sent on such a mission. The conference room was silent. Then, slowly, she raised her hand, almost as if acting out a scene from a movie.
Enter simulation date.
August 24th.
Location.
Selinoyarsk, USSR.
Mission.
Support a covert agent whose objective is the rescue of a nuclear weapons scientist.
Who is the agent?
Your student. Your most beloved.
Acknowledged. Define current mission progress.
With your help, the agent has successfully made contact with the target. All that's left is to wait for recovery. Now, deduce the best course of action.
I take the scientist away from the agent.
What for?
As a gift when I defect.
Why are you defecting?
To reform my special forces unit with my former comrades in arms.
No, I don't want to know your objective. I'm asking for the reason. Why are you betraying your country?
I do not defect in order to betray America. Betrayal is merely the outcome of that defection.
Response time is always slower here. Perhaps she lacks confidence in her judgment. You're a hero in the West. Why should the Soviets trust you?
In addition to the scientist, I provide them with a portable nuclear warhead in order to win the favor of a Russian GRU officer.
And then you launched it.
Launched? The nuke? Me?
That's right. At a target inside Soviet territory.
Nuclear weapons make my blood run cold. They blot out the future. How could I? Karma. Is it my karma? The karma my mistake has brought upon us? My...
Attention. Discontinue forward reasoning. Cross-check with knowledge base.
Affirmative. Cross-check complete. Revising conclusion as follows. I steal the new weapons developed by the scientist and then launch the nuke at the Weapons Design Bureau.
Forward and backward reasoning are in conflict. Attention. Return to forward reasoning.
Affirmative.
Your apprentice returns for the scientist.
I send him away.
He doesn't give up.
I send my comrades to defeat him.
All of them fail. Even the GRU officer who oversaw your defection is defeated by your apprentice, along with the new weapon. Now, what is your course of action?
I fight him.
Why? With your GRU patron dead, there's no reason for you to fight. Why not just run away?
I must fight him.
I do not see the reason. With a soldier of your caliber on his side, how could the GRU officer be defeated to begin with? Did you betray him too?
I've been waiting for a long time.
You could switch allegiance from GRU to KGB and take the remaining nuke as a gift. There's no chance they wouldn't welcome a hero of your stature.
Drift away. My place is with them now.
I didn't ask you that. Give me the basis for your reasoning. Tell me the truth.
Politics determine who you face on the battlefield.
Why won't you answer me? It's like you were just waiting for him to kill you.
I was disloyal. Betrayed my country. I deserve to die.
How can you say that? You can't be a traitor. You're not that kind of person.
Kill me. Kill me now.
Stop it! Stop it! Attention! Discontinue reasoning.
One must die, and one must live.
Stop it, damn you! Discontinue!
Life's end. Isn't it beautiful?
Shut down! Always in the same place. Her reasoning goes haywire. Someone holds the key. Perhaps it's him. I'll get it out of him. One way or another.
She told me everything. Why did she open her heart to me like that? At the time, I couldn't understand it. But now, I think I do. Snake, she wanted you to know the truth. She chose me to tell you. That's why she saved my life. I've lied to you so many times, but not this time. My orders from the government were to obtain the legacy and to eliminate everyone who knew the truth about what happened. In other words, I'm supposed to kill you. But I can't do it. Not because we loved each other, and not because you saved my life, but because I made a promise to the boss. And I intend to keep it. I just wanted you to know. And you have to live. Snake, listen to me. She didn't betray the United States. No, far from it. She was a hero who died for her country. She carried out her mission knowing full well what was going to happen. Self-sacrifice, because that was her duty. The boss's defection was a ruse set up by the U.S. government. It was all a big drama staged by Washington so they could get their hands on the philosopher's legacy. And the boss was the star of the show. They planned it so that they could get the legacy that Colonel Volgan inherited and destroy the Shagohod at the same time. Only a legendary hero like the boss could have earned Volgan's trust. Finding out where the philosopher's legacy was hidden was to be her greatest mission. Everything was going according to plan. But then something happened that no one could have predicted. Colonel Volgan fired an American-made nuclear warhead at Sokolov's research facility. Khrushchev demanded that the U.S. government provide proof that it wasn't involved. They couldn't just abort the operation to steal the legacy. So the operation itself was greatly expanded and revised. The authorities in Washington knew that in order to prove its innocence, they'd have to get rid of the boss. And that one of their own would have to do the job. The public couldn't be allowed to find out about it. Not ever. This, they concluded, would be the best way to keep the whole thing under wraps. The boss wouldn't be allowed to come back home alive. And she wouldn't be allowed to kill herself. Her life would be ended by her most beloved disciple. That was the way the government wanted it. That was the mission she was given. And she had no choice but to carry it out. Her death, at your hands, was a duty she had to fulfill. Out of duty, she turned her back on her own comrades. A lesser woman would have been crushed by such a burden. The taint of disgrace will follow her to her grave. Future generations will revile her. In America, as a despicable traitor with no sense of honor. And in Russia, as a monster who unleashed a nuclear catastrophe. She will go down in official history as a war criminal. And no one will ever understand her. That was her final mission. And like a true soldier, she saw it through to the end. But I think she wanted you, of all people, to know the truth. She wanted to live on in your memory, not as a soldier, but as a woman. But she was forbidden to tell you herself. And that's why she told me. Snake, history will never know what she did. No one will ever learn the truth. Her story, her debriefing, will endure only in your heart. Everything she did she did for her country. She sacrificed her life and her honor for her native land. She was a real hero. She was a true patriot. Hello, Snake. It's been a while, hasn't it? I hear you've been causing quite the ruckus in Nicaragua. Nothing much to report from my end. The legacy's being put to good use. Or so they tell me. But enough with the small talk. There's something I need to tell you. You saw the photo that came with this tape, right? The boss gave that to me 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I should have told you sooner. I probably should have told you right away. But sending it to you hasn't been an easy decision to make. It's taken me 10 years. Once you've heard what I have to say, you'll understand why. That photo belonged to her. I know what you're thinking. What does she have to do with this? You've probably seen it 100 times in the press already. Obviously, it's of the Mercury 7, the first group of American astronauts, the heroes of Project Mercury. But there were actually 8 people in that photo. One of them was edited out, erased, without a trace. That 8th astronaut, the one airbrushed out of existence, that was her, Snake. Now, why did they need to keep her existence a secret? What were they trying to hide? The answer goes back even further. 17 years ago. It was the height of the Cold War. The Eastern and Western blocs were racing to develop space technology to match their nuclear arsenals. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite. The Americans were stunned. They'd been led to believe their country led the world in science and technology. That shock quickly turned into fear. If the Russians had the know-how to launch a satellite into space, they could use it to launch a nuclear missile, too. Frantic, the U.S. threw everything it had into the space race. The following year, the Army succeeded in launching the first American satellite, Explorer 1. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration was established that fall, and Project Mercury with it. The goal was to send a man into space, and 7 men were chosen as pilot candidates. The media dubbed them the Mercury 7. They were immediately hailed as national heroes, icons of Western space exploration. But after Explorer, America suffered a series of failed rocket launches. Desperate, the government made a fateful decision. Unable to wait for its space program to mature, they'd steal the Soviets' technology, at the same time sabotaging their space program. You know better than anyone how hard a mission that was. The Soviet space program was shrouded in secrecy. Recovering that information would be no easy task. Using the help of an insider, they'd insert a sleeper agent into the research institute, or else recruit one of those insiders to do the job for them. And, if necessary, the mission leader would have to go in and sort things out themselves. Someone was needed with experience, knowledge, and superior intuition. And the only one for the job was the boss. The president himself asked for her by name. He needed someone who could be trusted with the fate of a nation. Who else to turn to but the hero of the Second World War? It was June 1959. So you see, Snake, that's why she left. That was the top secret mission that took her from you. But her selection ruffled a few CIA feathers. They didn't appreciate the president going over their head like that. The mission was tough enough already, and now the CIA was dragging its feet. She couldn't get anything out of them. No manpower, no information. Left to her own devices, the boss made a decision she knew would come back to haunt her. She decided to tap into the Philosopher's Network. And that's when the wheels of fate began to turn. The Philosophers were a secret society of power brokers formed in a pact between the US, Russia, and China in the early 20th century. Of course, by that time, the American and Soviet branches had already parted ways. But there were those among the remaining Russian philosophers not entirely happy with the one-party communist state. The boss reached out to them. She arranged clandestine meetings in Berlin, hoping to find a way into OKB1, the Soviets' premier design bureau. She worked tirelessly to win their sympathy, in some instances using huge sums of cash, in others by helping them over the Berlin Wall. It was a dangerous game to be playing. The Philosophers had everything on her, and not just information either. She'd given birth to a child on the battlefield, only to have them immediately snatch it away. I know she told you that story. If that child was in the hands of the Soviet philosophers, she'd be putting more than just herself in danger. But she did what she had to do. At the time, the Soviet Union was believed to have an arsenal of missiles far greater than that of the United States. If that proved to be the case, Moscow would be free from the yoke of nuclear deterrence, raising the possibility that the Soviets might actually launch nukes if they felt it necessary. As you know, the so-called missile gap turned out to be a Soviet bluff. Moscow had gone to incredible lengths to perpetuate the lie. In fact, the whole space race was really just a part of an elaborate ruse. Only we didn't know that at the time. She used to joke that even she swallowed the whole missile gap story, hook, line, and sinker. She put her life on the line, for the sake of her country, to prevent nuclear war. And it was because of her sacrificial efforts that America succeeded in placing a sleeper agent inside OKB1. NASA began to receive huge volumes of technical data from the Soviet program. By the end of 1959, they'd succeeded in sending a chimpanzee named Sam on a ballistic rocket flight. The rocket never left the atmosphere. But all the same, it was a huge success for NASA, restoring confidence in its technology. Then, just when the operation was starting to produce results, the CIA came calling. "You're a war hero," they said. "No need for you to dirty your hands with this sort of black ops. We'll take it from here." In effect, they wanted to reap the rewards for themselves. But the boss didn't object. "My part is over," she said. "I don't care what you do with the data now." It seemed as if NASA was making great strides toward manned spaceflight while the Russians lagged behind. They even got a report from their mole at OKB1. "The safe return of Sam has sent our scientists into a panic," he said. Soon afterward, the Soviet Union sent an animal of its own into space on Sputnik 2, the dog Kudryavka. better known to the world as Laika. But Laika was fated never to return to Earth. The U.S. can recover its spacecraft from the ocean upon re-entry. But the Soviet Union only borders the frozen Arctic. They had to bring their spacecraft down on land. How could they soften the impact enough to bring a living creature back safely? The agent reported that the Soviets hadn't yet found a solution to that problem. The plot to sabotage the Soviet space program seemed to be working, too. First, they tampered with Sputnik 4's re-entry. Then, 2 months later, one of their rockets exploded on the launch pad. They did manage to send 2 dogs into orbit aboard Sputnik 5 and return them safely to Earth. But the agent dismissed it as a fluke. Dogs, sure, but humans? They didn't have the technology. Everybody believed it. Everybody was complacent. Everybody. Except the boss. There was something about the Sputnik 5 schematics they were getting that didn't seem right. Some kind of ejection device on the capsule that didn't quite belong. She couldn't figure out the reason why it was there. What was it supposed to eject? NASA shrugged off her concerns. They figured it was probably meant to eject the flight recorder in case of an accident. The boss pleaded with them to investigate, but the CIA wasn't having it. They probably thought she was trying to reclaim some of the glory for herself. The boss wouldn't give up. She decided to head to the Soviet Union herself, alone, without any backing from the CIA. By the beginning of the next year, 1961, she'd succeeded in infiltrating OKB-1. That's when she saw the truth, for the first time. The sleeper that she'd worked so hard to place was a double agent. He'd been turned by the Soviets and was feeding the Americans lies. But what shocked the boss even more was why. The CIA's access agent had been taking a large cut of the sleeper's pay. The sleeper felt what little he was left with wasn't worth the risk. When he got a better offer from Moscow, he took it. At some point, the Americans' intelligence operation had become an open book to the Soviets. And contrary to what the sleeper had been reporting, the Soviets' manned spaceflight technology was quite advanced. It wasn't until she infiltrated OKB-1 herself that the boss learned the truth about Sputnik 5. After the spacecraft re-entered the atmosphere, it ejected the pilot, seat and all, at an altitude of 7,000 meters. It was the Soviet solution to the problem of land recovery. The mystery device attached to Sputnik 5 was for that purpose. The pilot would parachute down from that high altitude wearing a bulky spacesuit. Crazy, I know. The Soviets knew exactly how dangerous it was, of course. So much so that they gave Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, a special 2-rank promotion before re-entry. Only Moscow could come up with this kind of plan. With total state control over information, they could easily pretend it never happened in the event of a failure. The boss passed the info on to NASA. It was their worst nightmare. The glory of mankind's first spaceflight was about to be stolen from them by the Soviet Union. It was Sputnik all over again. And the CIA was caught no less off guard. Their ineptitude had caused the fiasco in the first place. The Soviets' deception was brilliant. They'd woven a masterful tapestry of truth and fiction to convince the Americans their intelligence operations were proceeding as planned. No one but the boss could have seen through it. It was obvious the Soviets had some gifted minds working on their side. But that certainly didn't excuse the CIA's massive failure. The CIA wasn't done, though, and devised an ingenious plan to avoid taking responsibility. Luckily for them, a new president had been elected the previous November. John F. Kennedy. As he didn't know the case history when taking office, the CIA was able to feed lies to his new administration. They masked their own failures, placing the blame squarely on the boss's shoulders. After all, she'd selected an unreliable sleeper. They claimed she'd failed to make use of one of the most effective means of controlling a sleeper agent's actions: holding their family hostage. The boss was well aware that would have worked. She told me so later, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. It seems clear it had to do with having her own child taken. She could never inflict the same pain on anyone else. The CIA used that against her. In his election campaign, Kennedy had vowed to close the missile gap with Moscow. If America lost the space race, that promise would be worthless. The fact that the president had no links to the philosophers only made things worse. He was completely unaware of the secret networks she'd used to complete her mission. In his eyes, she was no better than a traitor. The fate that awaited her was cruel beyond belief. The order came down from above. The boss would take the official blame for the sleeper's betrayal. More so, she'd serve as the guinea pig for NASA's manned spaceflight program. By then, NASA had gotten as far as sending a chimp named Ham into space. Now came a whole battery of ground tests to pave the way for a human to take its place. High-G tests, zero-G tests, spacesuit tests, simulations in pressurized oxygen environments. Some of the tests were highly dangerous, too dangerous for the Mercury 7, who were by then already media darlings. So the boss was made to stand in for them. She could have refused the order, argued her side of the story against the CIA, but she didn't. The way she saw it, her military experience made her a potentially valuable asset to those tests. She felt it was her duty to accept. She soon proved herself right. The boss was more than just a guinea pig. She drew on her experience to give the staff focused advice exactly where it was needed. NASA's space program took off again. At the rate they were going, putting a man in space seemed within reach. The higher-ups at NASA were impressed with her talents. They took to calling her the 8th astronaut, the Mercury Lady. The photo I sent you was taken around that time. I suppose maybe they were planning to use it as propaganda, the world's first female astronaut. But then, just as things were looking up, they hit a new snag. The government told them to add a window. There were no windows in NASA spacecraft back then. Ham never saw the stars around him. But Washington insisted. Their sources told them Soviet spaceships had windows. Space exploration as a form of propaganda in itself. After all, what was the point of sending a man into space if he couldn't tell the world what he'd seen? Most of all, though, they simply couldn't have the Russians doing something they couldn't. It was sheer madness, and everybody knew it. NASA was already facing impossible deadlines. Now they were adding yet another element of uncertainty to the mix. Installing a window would both weaken the spacecraft and make it harder to shield the occupant from cosmic rays. They weren't about to put their Mercury 7 golden boys in that kind of danger. So the boss was chosen as the pilot instead. Even if she made it up into space, she was given less than a 20% chance of returning to Earth alive. But she took it in stride, even helping them make the necessary design changes to the Mercury capsule. It was like going to work every day at NASA to make her own coffin. Then, without warning, the US received intelligence that the Soviets had moved their Vostok spacecraft to the launch site. The launch was set for the following day, April 12th, 1961. America couldn't let the Soviets beat them with Vostok. NASA was forced to cut short the testing process and move the launch date up. They pulled out all the stops to get it scheduled for the earliest hours of the next day. The spacecraft would be launched from Cape Canaveral in the dead of night. For the flight path, they chose a course that would take her as far east as possible. She'd be able to see the Earth in daylight from the window, at least for a little while. The boss climbed into the Mercury capsule, having completed less than 80% of the regular flight procedures. Both the timing and the flight path were risky, and testing was far from complete. But NASA had no other choice. The boss, for her part, never expected to come home alive. She was going on a one-way trip, the American version of Laika the dog. And yet she went all the same. "Someone has to be first," she said. "If fate has chosen me, then I accept, for my country, for the balance of the world." That's how she saw things. My chances may be slim, but I'll take them. I've accepted my fate. If anyone can get through this, I can. Then, on April 12th at 1:30 in the morning, the boss entered space. It was nothing short of a miracle. First, that she'd made it in an incomplete spacecraft, and second, that her flight coincided almost exactly with Gagarin's. As the sun rose over the horizon, and cosmic rays began to bombard her through the window, she saw the Earth. I think you've heard the story before. It was a world without borders, a perfect jewel. All nations, all ideologies. They seemed so far away. It almost made her laugh, knowing that they'd risked so much to beat the Soviets by a few short minutes. If she'd seen Vostok from her window, she probably would have waved. But the two spacecraft were destined for very different fates. Gagarin circled the Earth and returned to the Soviet Union, safe and sound. The Mercury capsule, on the other hand, deviated from its planned re-entry angle. The addition of a window had thrown the capsule's aerodynamics off balance. The boss's coffin veered wildly off course and began to plunge earthward.